Hey, it's Matt from Custom Car Grills with a mesh install for a 1999 Mercury Grand Marquis. I had a local owner call up and ask if we can do a triple weave mesh install for his ride, and I said I'd do the best that I could, and so he sent over the stock grill shown here. This vertical bar design really dates the car, and I can see why they want to change it up. These bars are going to be the first to go, so let's flip this around and grab our Dremel and cutoff wheel. I can think of a few ways to cut out the center area that we're going to need to remove, but I chose the safest method to show here. It may not be the fastest way, but I think this is the best chance of getting it done right. With the bars removed, we can get in with the cutoff wheel better and make some cuts right along the raised edge. On the front of the grill, this would be the valley that's painted black. I'm cutting in the middle of the ridge, leaving myself a little room for error in case the Dremel gets a little squirrely on me. There's no need to do all of the cuts in one piece. It's totally fine and probably preferred to do the cuts in sections. Reason being is that those lower clips are going to be hard to cut around for now, so let's break the piece off and get some cuts in front of the grill while still avoiding the clip region. When cutting from the front, be sure not to cut too deep and damage the clip area. Also, it's best to not slip and hit the inner edge with the wheel. While the inner edge can be repaired, the chrome can't really be fixed if you make a big mistake. Since we gutted out most of the inner grille, before we go much further, let's reinforce these tabs. I'll use a quick cure 3M epoxy that'll set up in just a minute. This will be perfect for strengthening up those tabs. I'll apply this on both the hollow areas of the upper bolt region as well as the bottom of the lower clips. Because this cures quickly, I don't have much downtime here and I can get right back to work knocking out the remainder of that clip area. A very shallow cut is all that's needed for now. Absolutely do not cut so deep that you're hitting the part of the frame that you want to keep. I'll repeat this on the other side as well as the middle clip areas too. Now we can get in there at a different angle of approach and shave down these spots even more. We're essentially just whittling down the clip region little by using different angles to our advantage. This is one of those areas where you're going to want to spend a lot of time and patience on because it will show in the end. The scariest part and most skillful cut will be here at the end where you essentially want to use the wheel just straight up like so and ever so slightly getting that clipped area flat. Go slow and have a steady hand because this needs to be very precise. Here's another quick top-down view. I'm applying almost no pressure at all and just glancing across the top of the plastic to even it out. Okay, that's done, and let's switch gears to something that will be a lot less delicate. I'm going to grab my cordless grinder and equip it with a 36 grit disc to quickly sand down the remaining part of the edge so that it's near flat with the frame. This will give us two things moving forward. One is that it will make a path for the Dremel's mandrel to clear over. And two, it'll give us a nice obvious black and white path to cut along. I'm going to cut the white part of the plastic with the cutoff wheel and pushing that cut right up to where the black paint starts. Once cut, I can go back with the grinder and sand down the area smooth and blend in any mistakes. Here's a view of the lower edge, and for the most part it's the same process. Just make the cut on the white plastic up to the black paint and then smooth the cuts out afterwards. If you didn't fully sand down the clip area previously, this will be your last opportunity to do so. For these types of cuts, I am using the Dremel number 543 cutting and shaping wheel, and I feel like actually right now giving this thing a pointed down position gives me a pretty good chance of success of shaving it down flat. Well, with that out of the way, the rest should be easy. Let's get these sides done next and then finish up any more cuts that you might still have until the whole perimeter of the grill is at the same depth. And now it's time to dial in any smoothness of the cuts one final time using some 180 grit sandpaper on a sanding block. Absolutely do not make a mistake and accidentally sand the chrome on the front here. Use the block on a couple key areas, the first being the back of the grill where we made the bulk of the cuts. We want these to be crisp so that the grill to mesh transition looks extra seamless. I had a little extra buildup on the top edge that took a little while to get flat. Oh, and the other area to refine is yet again those lower tabs. I took a small amount of sandpaper and folded it up so that I could slide the paper on the edge while not damaging the chrome. Also, during this time I am scuffing up the black paint that's on there and in some cases just removing it where I safely can. Since this has gone through some pretty extensive modifications, that inner lip of the grill will need a new paint job, and my customer wants to keep the chrome frame, so let's tape that off. I'm using some fine line pinstriping at first to get some crisp lines that contour the curves well. I'll then just blast over top of that with some blue painter's tape. It doesn't need to look fancy, but it does need to be thorough. Afterward, I'll hit them up with some primer first and then some matte black trim paint, both of them from the Spraymax brand. Here's what mine looks like after a few coats, and I'll set this off to the side for a moment while we look at the mesh piece that I've prepared. This was cut from our triple woven mesh that we have for sale on our website. It's a raw aluminum alloy that has a good shine right out of the box that can also be polished up to a near chrome look too. Off screen, I made a template from poster board first, and then when I was happy with it, I made the cuts on the mesh as well as some bends so that it just slips right in. From the front, we just want to make sure that there's no gaps. And if you see anything wrong with the fitment, this is the time to fix it before moving forward. To temporarily hold the mesh and frame together, let's grab some cable ties and soft foam strips. The foam helps protect the finished surface from the ties, and the ties are a good, cheap, and easy way to get a hold of the mesh to the frame. Be sure to be mindful of where the ties are looping through. If you tie these up too far inward on the grill, then you might distort its symmetry. Additionally, if you pull too hard in an area, then you might distort the frame or possibly move the mesh off of an area where you had it resting flush on a mounting tab. I used a ton of ties and foam on this, and afterward I came back and snipped off the tail ends of the ties. To bond the mesh and grill frame together, you can use a lot of different two-part epoxies, but the one I like to use for this kind of stuff is Plyo-Grip Plastic Repair number 3. This is especially good for bonding to plastic, and it's going to give us a nice good firm bond to the mesh too. I'll dispense this in and around the mesh on the back of the frame while making sure not to spill any of it through the front. To even out the coverage, I'll grab a small brush and move the plyo grip around to some areas that I missed, or carefully remove some of it if it's built up too high. Some areas need to be a bit more precise than others, and that's the case yet again with this lower edge here. This is a super thin area and requires some pinpoint accuracy with the dispenser. Again, it's super important not to spill any of this through the front. If you do, it's going to be near impossible to clean up. Like with some of the cutting, a steady hand and a lot of patience is key here. This stuff takes about 30 minutes to cure, so I'll step away for a moment once done, and then afterwards I'll come back when it's time to cut off the ties. Some wire cutters should do the trick just fine, and then the ties and foam can be thrown away. One last thing to do now is remove all of the tape that was put on for the paint job. It's pretty exciting to see how this is going to look. I don't know, it feels like unwrapping a gift for my car, but it's wrapped up in some really sticky paper right now. This takes a while depending on how thorough you were with the taping, so let me just fast forward and show you the end result. Here we go. This is how my grill turned out. Oh man, this is looking tight. That triple mesh is just stunning to look at. It's really one of the best meshes on the market for these old cars that are going for that Donk style look. After the local owner got it in hand, they put it on the same day, and here's how it looks on their car. It's pretty cold here in Michigan, so the car isn't really ready to hit the road yet, but it looks like $1 million sitting there in the driveway. If you're looking to build your own Grand Marquis grill or a Donk style grill in general, then I hope that this video helped you out. Liking, commenting, or sharing this video helps me out quite a bit. If you have any questions about grills, then drop them down in the comments. And I hope you liked this video, and thanks for watching.